What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of STR Conversations of the Get Paid for Your Pet podcasts. We are your hosts, Jasper and Eric, as every Friday, and we're going to have a lot of fun today because we have a lot of cool stuff to share. Eric, what's up, man?
Jasper, doing good, buddy. How are you?
How's skiing? You took a vacation for the first
I
time
did.
since we started working together, I think.
I know. It felt incredible. This was definitely the first time that I was like fully disconnected and not really checking in, not checking my ClickUp, my emails, Slack, nothing like that. And it felt good. It felt really good to like rely on the systems, rely on the team and be able to disconnect. And man, it's so important, especially for business owners and, CEOs, and to break away from everything and have that thinking time, because once you can step out of it, you can look at the business from a 30,000 foot view and really get a clear understanding what you're working on, your accomplishments, where you need to improve, where you want to lead. So it was amazing. So I went snowboarding for the first time in Telluride, Colorado, and snowboarding was amazing, man. Especially there, it's so beautiful there. It's such a small mountain town, but so beautiful. It's kind of challenging to get there, so it's not like as popular as Park City or even Aspen. But yeah, man, I fell in love with it. My body hurts, my booty hurts from falling so much. I spent 3 days on the mountain, and I just freaking love it, dude. So I can't wait to get back out there. Also, Telluride is just an incredible place. Looking out there for possibly some land for free wild would be a great idea. So it's those markets are doing pretty incredible. So if anyone has the opportunity to get out to Telluride, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I'd never heard about it, but it looks incredible, at least on the photos in Google Maps. But I was jealous, man, because my ski holiday got canceled earlier this year in January because of COVID-related restrictions.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get back in the snow.
Dude, it's unreal. I've never, I grew up in the city, so I never really had an opportunity to go skiing or snowboarding. But this trip just kind of came together, so I decided to jump into it. And it's like learning anything for the first time is very challenging. So I recognize I journaled on this, is that by building the businesses that we're building over the last couple of years, I developed a skill set that I just recognized as I was snowboarding, the skill set to learn. I recognize, like, I've always been interested in learning things, but I finally got it to a point in my life where I'm curious enough. Like, I know that learning something in the beginning always sucks, right? It always takes a long time to like really understand it. And prior to this, I always used to meet that with like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, that I'm not learning fast enough or picking this thing up or getting the result as fast as I want it to be. But I recognized by snowboarding, I went into this knowing that it's going to be very challenging for me to understand how to snowboard. It's like going down a mountain with, a piece of metal strapped to your feet is not the easiest thing in the world. But I developed the skill set enough to like be patient through the process and then have fun at failing. And I approached it with that mindset. So even though I was falling more than I was snowboarding, by the third day, I was actually able to get down the mountain and have fun, all that stuff. And, got a little cocky, and hit the ground pretty hard, and that retired me for the week. Man, it was a great experience, and it was a great learning lesson to recognize that I built a skill set to be patient enough to learn and be patient enough through that sucky period of learning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I had the same thing when I learned kite surfing. It's the first 5-6 hours is you're lying in the water, you're trying to get the kite in the air, and then it crashes in the water, and then the water is in your face, and then like you're swallowing seawater, and it's just a struggle. But you gotta have fun with it, right? You gotta just appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. And it's like, it's interesting because I was going through this and I'm like, man, I haven't been a student in something like this in quite some time, where I just like fully commit to being an absolute beginner and going through this process. And I hired coaches, like out there. I snowboarded for 3 days. Day 1 and day 3, I hired a instructor to teach me what to do. And then day 2, I went out by myself. Day 3, I hired an instructor to tweak, what my approach to it. And I recognize, like, man, I've been in the educator role for so long that I haven't really been in the student role full time. And I recognize, like, man, like we have to have fun with the process. We have to be patient enough to know that, like, hey, the result that we want is going to come out of this. But what I recognize that most people, they don't have the patience to suck at something. They just want the result. I just want my short-term rental business to be, automated and running and, doing all the fun things. But I don't want to go through the process of learning how to get to that point. I just want it. And because they through that process of like sucking at, trying to scale a business or learning this thing, they give up halfway through. And I've done that so many different times with things. But yeah, it's funny that snowboarding kind of brought me that realization, that lesson of like, oh, if we want to learn something, we want to get through it. We just got to be patient through that process. No, it's not going to be easy. You're going to fall quite a bit, but eventually you're going to get that result. So day 3, I was snowboarding down a mountain. There's like seasoned skiers and snowboarders probably laughing at me right now, but I'm going down a mountain. I'm like, holy crap, I'm snowboarding 3 days ago. I didn't know how to do this. This is crazy. Yeah. So awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Awesome. I'm glad you had some insights there in the snow.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Well, talk about learning. We have a small learning opportunity for the people that are listening, because today we officially opened up drum bell applications for class 3 of Legends X.
I like your radio voice. Yeah, we officially have applications open. It's kind of crazy. It's crazy that we're at class 3.
I know. I was just talking to somebody from class 2, and he just got off a Zoom meeting with 375 real estate agents this morning. And it was amazing. It's amazing to see he doubled his portfolio since the end of last Legends X class, which is only, 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So that's my favorite part about this program, is that our students are getting real results. So yeah, let's go back in time, because do you know that exactly 1 year ago I arrived in Encinitas? You picked me up at the airport, and that's when we started building Legends X.
Wow. Yeah, man. We've done quite a bit in this year, huh? Wow.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, but that was a fun time building Legends X. I can't believe it's only a year ago that we started building this thing.
Yeah. We've had some pretty great results through there, and yeah, it's amazing that we're at class 3, because a year ago it was pretty. I mean, talk about like the learning lessons of like failing and trying to figure out what's working and being patient through the process, and being able to build what we built with Legends X all within a year. Getting the results that we're getting is pretty damn incredible. So happy anniversary, buddy.
Yeah. Happy 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
Let's do a little recap of the program. Of course, we've talked about the program. If you're listening to this podcast, you've heard from students, so a lot of people probably know. Actually, I saw an application from somebody, and we always ask the question like, how did you hear about Legends X? And that person's response was like, well, who doesn't know about Legends X? Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That was amazing. Yeah, man. So let's talk about it. What are some of the results, or what were some of the takeaways from the last year of running Legends X?
Well, I'd say there's a lot of big takeaways for me, but I'd say one of the things that I'm really proud of is, remember when we started building this program, you and I spent a lot of time thinking about how do we make sure that people finish the program, right? Because you and I have both bought online courses. You buy a course, you watch a couple videos, and then you forget about it, and then it's just such a waste of time and a waste of money. And so you and I were like, okay, how can we build a course that people actually finish, right? And that's, to me, that's one of the major accomplishments that pretty much every single student that went through the program has completed it.
Well, not only not only finish it, but get a result from the program, right? So, and it, to kind of give some background on this, we were at an event, I think a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, where they were reading off some stats on online education. And they said 4% of people who buy an online course actually go through the course, complete it, and get a result. So think of all the courses, all the education that's being created and sold. You know, I was on Facebook today for the first time in a long time, and 3 new Airbnb courses were being targeted to me on Facebook ads. 3 new air quote, you know, experts teaching this stuff, all for the same price, all for the same type of like outcome and approach, all this stuff. So these things are popping up all over the place, but the result, the facts behind this is that most people, there's only 4% of people that go through courses that actually get a result. Right. So yeah, that we wanted to crush that. And I think we, we did that, man. That was freaking amazing. We're at a 100% success rate. We're saying 98% success rate because one person was going through the course and became sick and had to delay the process of going through the course. But what's amazing through Legends X is we essentially had 100% success rate through the program so far. Everyone's got a certain type of result for their business, which was also pretty cool too, seeing the different types of results that people are getting. And 0 refunds, which is absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah. No,
it means it works.
It means it works. No, it's something that I think this is so awesome, because I remember that we were thinking about this and we're trying to figure out like, how can we make this course engaging? How can we create accountability? How can we make it effective? Right. That the stuff that we're teaching actually works and it's proven. So it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see the results. And I love talking to the students that have gone through the program. I've talked to 2 of them today alone. And I just love the clarity that they have and the enthusiasm and the excitement that they have. So much energy.
So I know the podcast is with Jim's coming out, and so all the details are in there. But I'm really curious. I want to pick your brain real quick. So you just sat down with Jim and he just talked about his success from class 2, right? So we doubled his business, right? So doubled his business. And then he started implementing part of it, which is called the property abundance plan. And that led to him speaking to how many real estate agents?
375 agents.
375 agents. And what was the result from that? Because that's what I'm really curious about is like, so it's on the micro side, right? There's people that all of our students go through the program, but then there's certain students that just like, they're all in. And like the moment we met Jim, like he was kind of on the fence of like, where am I at with this program? We connected with him, aligned it with him and his goals. And then he was off for the races. I met him down in Texas and dude's a freaking rock star. But tell us a little bit about that, because I'm really curious to hear more about like his results of implementing the property abundance plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what he realized, his thought process was very simple. He's like, my partner avatar is an investor. I want to connect with investors. Well, all investors, if they own property, they have to have a realtor. So he started reaching out to realtors and letting them know that he wanted to help them sell more houses, right? Which is really awesome, because like, that's how you build a relationship. Don't come from a place of like, I need something from you. You need to help me get more clients. You got to come from a place of like, how can I bring value to you? And then the rest, it will come back to you, right? So, he started talking to realtors. What was really cool too is that he said that he was expecting them to have a negative reaction of saying like, well, they already know all that stuff, you know, like, and who am I? Like, I'm not really the expert or whatever. The reaction that he was getting from these realtors was very different. He was getting reactions of like, hey, this is really interesting. You know, I want to learn more about this. Or somebody even told him like, hey, I've been thinking about doing something with short-term rentals. I just don't know anybody who has expertise. So you're calling me at the exact right moment. And that person then invited him. He says like, hey, I organize a weekly meeting with 375 real estate agents. Would you want to jump on and answer some questions about short-term rentals? So he's like, yes, of course.
Mhm.
Even though he was, it's a bit, can be a bit nerve wracking. And, he's telling me he was a bit nervous too, but that's something that we, we preach during the Legends X class as well. It's like, hey, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to tell the world what you're doing. Right. And so he really embodied that, didn't sleep all night, got up in the morning and spoke to these 375 real estate agents. And, he already got, when I spoke to him, he already had 3 people that got on the phone with him that potentially want to work with him. So
Amazing.
yeah, really, really cool, inspirational story.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's a big part of what we teach in the scale pillar, right? Is like being top of mind. So when someone thinks of Airbnb or thinks of short-term rentals, they think of you and they reach out to you, right? So part of the property abundance plan is developing those rhythms and habits of doing that exactly. Right. And it's like, I was talking to a company today that helps, they're a lead source company, helping vacation rental companies get more leads essentially. So I was talking to him about it. And, I think the biggest challenge that most companies run into that they're recognizing is like smaller companies just don't have the money to compete at marketing with these bigger companies like Evolve and, Vacasa and all this stuff. Right. So like, if you try to compete with these bigger companies in ad spend, you're going to lose every single time. Vacasa is spending millions of dollars every single day, maybe not day, year, millions of dollars a year trying to get leads of people that are looking for a property manager, right? Or do something in short-term rentals. If you try to compete at that level, you're always going to lose unless you have that actual budget and the team to execute on it, right? So what happens to operators our size, and the students that go through Legends X that are between that 1 and 25 unit range? It's like, how do you actually compete against Vacasa? Well, what Vacasa is not doing is building relationships with the people who control real estate in those markets. They're just there trying to buy the properties and buy the leads, right? So it's like, if we can't compete on the dollar amount, let's compete on building the relationship. So part of the scale side, and this is why we leave it towards the end in Legends X, is like, hey, let's build out all these systems and everything else that actually becomes a bottleneck of building these relationships, and then go out and do exactly what Jim just did. That's how I scale my business, doing that exactly. I built relationships with all the realtors and brokers in this area. And 2-3 times a week, I would go to their offices and speak to them in person and educate them on how they can attract more buyers and how they can sell more short-term rentals. And then people would just bring me investors that were buying properties as short-term rentals in San Diego, right? And I became top of mind for, again, air quote, Airbnb. When anybody thought of Airbnb in San Diego, they were coming to me, and I didn't have to buy these leads. Right. It was all relationships. So it's like, that's how we can really scale our business. And then that's like the first side. And then the second side is like, as you're profitable and you're growing, you're building a team and systems, then you can invest in buying leads and reaching out and advertising and all of this stuff. But the property abundance plan, it's like, you can scale to 100 units without spending any money on advertising, which is amazing. And then once you're at 100 units, you can choose if you want to invest in ads or just continue doing what got you to get that result.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And once you're at that level, like you have some other marketing channels at your disposal too. Like I see a lot of people in our mastermind, they're offering their existing clients like small referral fees, right? And becomes word of mouth. So I feel like it's the hardest part is like in the beginning when you have to build that channel and really get started, get the ball rolling.
Yep. 100%.
And that's why it's so important that, we're giving people like, we're not giving people, we're giving people very simple steps that they can implement, right? It's like, okay, what is something that you can do every single day that's going to drive results in the long term, right? And I was just impressed with Jim because it's just been such little time, I mean, when Legends X, the second class ended the first week of December, holidays are coming up, and so not much happens in those last weeks of December, and then we're just like 1 month into the new year. By the way, it's kind of crazy though.
I know.
Already 1 month in.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, another snowboarding reference here, right? It's like, as far as like as far as getting the result that fast, I'm not surprised to see those results that quick, because Jim's the type of person that, like, he invested in obviously education and the right coaches, but he implemented everything that he was learning. He was a true student in doing it. He didn't meet it with ego. He didn't meet it with a million different questions on why it's not going to work. He just trusted the process, implemented it, and now he's getting a result, right? And it was the same thing snowboarding for me. And that's what the instructors, my coaches, were telling me. He's like, most people get up here and they're all in their head. So what you're learning on day 3 is typically what we teach in a month or 2 of someone snowboarding. He's like, you've shortened the learning curve, because he's like, you're just trusting the process and you're not in your head. And I'm like, hell yeah, because I want to learn this thing. I don't want to fall anymore. I want to get this result of snowboarding. So Jim took the same type of approach. So, and that's what I see over and over. Dude, we saw it with Free Wild. The moment that we made a decision that we're going to go all in on this type of business model, we didn't meet with any ideas of why it's not going to work. We just trusted the process, implemented what we had to implement, and we got a result super, super quick. Right. So it's like, yeah, Jim, like for anyone who is either applying for Legends X or just going through any type of educational thing, if you want to get that result, you got to trust the process, implement, develop those rhythms and habits, and the result will come a hell of a lot faster than you expect it to be, right? The moment you meet it with ego, and the moment that you meet it with the question of why it's not going to work, that's what slows those things down. Those are the bottlenecks, right? Yeah. But if you just say, okay, I trust the process, I trust the educators, I'm just going to implement, I'm going to meet it with, this is going to work, you'll get a result. Yeah. It's that simple.
Yeah. And we've seen that now with 2 classes. It was both classes were absolutely incredible. And so if you're listening and you want to check out more about the program, go to strlegends.com/X. You can also go to strlegends.com X apply if you want to go straight to the application. But otherwise, on the website, you'll see a big application button. Application process is very simple. We have a short form that you fill out, and then we'll get on a call with you to talk about your business, your goals, and see if it's a good fit. But walk us through that process a little bit more. Yeah, you're kind of in charge of that side.
Yeah, so we're very we built this to be very intentional. It's not, Legends X is not available for everybody, right? So we only allow 30 companies in per class. That will probably grow in the future. Maybe even this class might be slightly larger because we're getting a ton of applications already through this. But we set it up to, one is like, when you go to strlegends.com/X or strlegends.com/X apply, we put you through a very basic application. So the whole goal there is just to understand where are you at with your business? What are the goals? What are the challenges that you're running into? And then from there, what we do is we set you up with, based on your application, where you're at in your business, we set you up with a discovery call, and Julie George, our head coach, is doing all the discovery calls. And essentially on that call, we spend about 15 minutes just to truly understand, hey, is your business a good fit for Legends X, right? You could be way too qualified for this program, or you could just be in that part where it's like, hey, let's focus on the fundamentals first before we get you into this scale program, right? So we're looking for the right people. Based on that, then we go into what's called a strategy call. And then that strategy call, myself and Matthew, and let's talk about Matthew as well, as far as who that is and his results. I just got off the phone with him, and he's just freaking killing it and everything he's doing. And on that strategy call, we spent about 45 minutes going really, really deep into your business, the goals of the business, and then most importantly, the challenges that you're running into in the business. And then based on that, that's when we discuss Legends X, the details, and then we extend out an invite for people to join. But the reason why it's important for us to talk about this is, like, we're not opening this up to everybody. We're looking, the reason why we're getting such incredible results through this program is we're finding people like Jim, who, I think Jim came to us when he had three units.
That's right.
Yeah. So he had 3 units. He knew we didn't have to teach him Airbnb basics, right? We didn't have to teach him how to create a listing. We had to teach him how to build a business, right? And scale a brand. So, we're looking for people like that who are, one, coachable, who have the mindset to be coachable and just like trust the process and implement, right? Trust the process and implement. Two is you have a very specific goal. It might not be as clear as possible, but you just know like, hey, I have one listing, or I have 3 listings, or I have 10 listings, and I want to scale this business. I want to have properties in multiple locations. I want to grow a brand. I want to sell it. I want to develop something that my grandkids can see one day, whatever that is, right? So you're coachable, you have clear goals in your business. And then 3 is that that you need help to scale it, right? And it's as simple as that. Just like how I needed help on learning how to snowboard, right? Instead of me just diving in, I could have figured it out. It was just taking a hell of a lot longer. I could have been, probably broken bones. I'm beat up right now, but it would have taken a long time, and it would have been a lot harder than me just investing in the coaches that know what they were doing and teaching me how to do it in 3 days, right? So it's kind of the same process here, where we're looking for that mindset. We're looking for people who are established in short-term rentals, 1 to like 25 listings ish, depending on where you're at in your business, will determine that. We have some people in this program that have 40 units, right? But this is why it's really important for us to go through that step. And then we're looking for those 30 solid companies to really dive deep and have a major impact. So yeah, it's fun. I get to talk to quite a bit of people from around the world. And I know I've said this a million times, man, but it is freaking true that everyone is experiencing the same problems. I don't care how unique you think your business is, where you are in the world, how successful you are, whatever it is, everyone has the same problems. And I think we do a really good job at solving those bottlenecks through Legends X.
Yeah. 100%. And we already have some people that signed up, and I saw some interesting countries in there. I saw Croatia, I saw Abu Dhabi, I saw Mexico. Yep. So we're getting, it looks like we're going to have an international class, which is super exciting. But you mentioned Matt. I interviewed Matt on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. So he's on episode 440. So if you haven't listened to that, you got to listen to that. Matt's story is incredible. I really love his story.
Yeah, he so good. What is it? Episode 440?
Yeah, 440.
So episode 440, go back and listen to that. Matt is a freaking rock star. He came to us, and I had a strategy call. So he went through the same process in class 2 that I just talked about. And I did the strategy call with him and his wife, Bruna. And I just remember it right then and there. I'm like, these people are going to be freaking rock stars, and we get them into this program. He listened to it. They both recognized that they needed the program. They made a decision on the strategy call to join Legends X. They were all in right away. They enrolled, and from day 1, they were freaking rock star students, implementing, not asking questions, but not out of a place of like, how do I learn this versus this is not going to work, or meeting it with ego. That was not even there. He implemented it. They implemented it. The major impact on their business. But he loved this program so much that he came to us and said, like, hey, I want to help other people have the experience that I just had, and my wife and I just had through this program. So now he's a growth strategist with us, right? So he's going through those strategy calls, meeting people, meeting hosts, and really trying to find the right people for this program, which is really, really incredible. But I just spoke to him now, and he's adding 6 new units to his business, which is pretty incredible. He's saying that he's getting 6 leads a day on his business right now. 6 leads a day. He just chose 6 of those properties that he's going to onboard in the next couple of weeks into his business. Wow. Insane.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible. Every Legends X student I talk to is like, oh, I'm busy right now because I got 3 more listings coming up, or 6 more listings coming up.
Yeah. It's amazing, dude. I love it.
Yeah. Really awesome. Cool, man. So let's talk a little bit more about the program, about the structure of the program, because going back what we were talking about earlier, we wanted to get people result. And I think talking to a lot of students, like I was asking, like, what was your favorite part of the program, right? What was it that you enjoyed the most, and what was it that was like the most valuable? And a lot of them are saying it's the weekly pod calls. Like people just love those pod calls. And I remember when you introduced the pod idea to me, it took me a few days to really understand, like, okay, how's that going to drive the accountability? But it's a huge hit. And so just to explain to people who are listening, what we do is, like, when you join the program, we put you in a little pod, 5 to 7 students. Every single week you meet with your pod, with your students and your coach. Everybody gets a seven-figure coach. We have some new coaches that are joining the program too, which is awesome.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that's super, super exciting. Everything is exciting these days. But yeah, so throughout the program, it's a 90-day program. We have 12 weeks. Every week you get a new module of content. So we're not just dumping everything on your plate right away. We've really thought about this well, like what's the first thing that you have to do. Week 1, week 2, all the way up to week 12, you get a new module. And then on the accountability call with your coach and your students, you're literally going through that content together. You're connecting with other people in your pod, and your coach is there to guide you through the content to make sure that you're going through the content, you get all your questions answered, and that you can implement all the action steps that we're putting in there too.
Yeah. And you said your students, just to clarify, pod members, right? So they're essentially, you're in a pod with 5 to 7 other Legends X students, right? So, and you do a really good job at like matching. So one thing that we do is, like, once we enroll everybody into the class, we do a business assessment. How many questions are in that business assessment? Is it 80?
A lot.
A
lot of questions.
And it's all by design, right? To truly understand the business, challenges, goals, all of that. But based on that, then we align you with 5 to 7 other Legends X students that meet where you're at in business, that have similar goals and similar challenges. So you could truly relate with people. So, like, how I came up with the pod structure, excuse me. How I came up with the pod structure is I recognize, like, again, it's not just about content. If it was just about content, more people will go through. Remember that stat, the 4% of people that buy an online course actually go through it. If it was just content, that number would be much higher, right? But because it's not just about content, it's actually about community. I recognize, like, hey, we gotta create a space where people actually can relate with each other and can relate with the challenges and the risk of building businesses and going through this program and all this stuff. But also that you can really connect with and share your vision and goals with, right? So when challenges come up and you feel like you want to quit and give up on building this business, you have 5, 7 other people that understand that, like, hey, you actually want to build this business for a bigger reason. And this problem that you're experiencing right now is nothing compared to what you actually want to achieve. So let's just figure this out so we can build this business together, right? So I was in a mastermind for 3 years at the Entrepreneur House, where we met every single week, every Monday for 3 hours with all my roommates. And I'll tell that story one day. I've probably told it a million times on this podcast, but we went through the same thing. It was like, there were 5 of us. We went through the same questions and check-ins, and we had that standing meeting once a week. And without that, I couldn't have built the businesses that I built, right? We couldn't have built this business where we're at now without those early days of me being in the Entrepreneur House doing what I was doing there. So it's like that community is so powerful. So those pods and the way that we structure it, the way that we hold people accountable, and the way that we have our coaches lead those calls, to me, that's what drives the results, right? That is the biggest thing. That, you can have a world-class content, but if you don't have a community, or you don't have someone really driving you through this, it is challenging to get through content and then implement it and then get the results and everything else that you need to move forward. So those pods, it's pretty cool. We still have pods from the first class that meet without us outside the organization, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And that's one thing I was talking to Jim about as well. He was saying, like, I've met so many incredible people through the program, and now he's in the Rising Star, which is the mastermind that everybody goes into after the 90 days in Legends X. you have access to, by now it's like 50, 100, people from all over the world who have similar businesses that you can relate to, that you can connect with. So it's definitely a community builder. That's one thing I recognize too. Like, it's a community builder, the program.
Well, I mean, everybody I talk to, everybody I talk to for these strategy calls for Legends X, everyone runs into certain challenges. Again, they're all kind of similar, but one thing that we hear over and over, and we've said it on this podcast before, is like, I feel alone on my own island. Right. And it's like Facebook, there's a million Airbnb Facebook groups out there, but for the majority of it, it's all BS. It's a place for people to complain about things, and there's no real progress being made or taught in those groups. There's YouTube, there's TikTok and all this other stuff, but mostly that's about like ego-driven content on those platforms. So it's like, we can learn here and there and like pick away on these things, but there's really no real community out there that we could truly connect with to understand how to grow our short-term rental business. And I really think that we did something pretty incredible by creating these pod structures. And to me, that's what really, again, drives the results, but really drives the community within this industry. And it just gets wider and wider. It's cool that people are still meeting, pods are still meeting, people are doing business together, they're traveling together. It's incredible, man. I absolutely love seeing that.
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed too. A lot of students end up actually doing business and with each other and partnering, and that's really, really incredible to see as well. Awesome, man. Anything else you want to dive into before we wrap this up today?
No, I would just say, like, if you guys, for the listeners who are on this, we really want to work with people that, you're forget about time. Like, everyone always says I'm too busy to dive into something like this. And it's like, we designed this program for busy CEOs in this space, regardless of how many units you're running. So it's, if you're committed to growing your business, we'll help you find the time to actually get through this. It's really like, if you're in the mindset of like, hey, I love this industry, I want to grow this business, I know I want to grow a brand, I know I need systems, I just don't know where to start, I know I need a solid community, all of this stuff, just go ahead to strlegends.com/X and just send in the application. Let's jump on a call and really see if it's a good fit. Again, we want to make sure that the people that we bring in are a perfect fit for this program, and then equally make sure that this program is a good fit for the businesses that we're bringing in. And this is why we don't, we go through this process of bringing everyone through this, the discovery call to the strategy call. And we're investing a lot of time because we want to make sure that we're inviting in the right people, right? Versus just having it open for the masses, right? So if you guys are ready for that, just send in the application. We have quite a bit of people that have already joined this program, right? So we had 30 spots and a majority of those are filled right now. I don't want to discourage anybody because we're not going to turn anybody away because the class is filled. Well, let's talk, before we disconnect, let's talk about the coaches as well, who we just brought on, because we had so much demand for this class that we had to kind of reach out and bring on new coaches. So we still have Julie George as our head coach. She's crushing it. The results that her students are getting and the feedback that her students are giving us as her being the coach has just been, man, we can't ask for better feedback on a coach. Like, she's just killing it. But, she only has 24 hours. So we had to expand a bit. So let's talk about the new coaches that we just brought in. Who are they? And, what have they been doing in the space?
Yeah. So we love working with people that are already in our community. We had two people in our mastermind, in our STR Legends mastermind, who are both OGs, right? Mm-hmm. So they came to our first event in Puerto Rico, and I mean, we couldn't have asked for better new coaches, because these are people that you and I both recognized at the first event as being like one of the few people in the group that were really stepping up and educating a lot of the other members, right? So first of all, Rebecca, who's been listening to this podcast for a long time, then you've probably heard about her. She's been on the podcast. She's absolute rock star. She owns Hicksville Trailer Park. You've been there, right?
Yeah, Hicksville Trailer Palace in Joshua Tree, California. Yeah, we stayed there. Absolutely amazing. Prior to that, she ran 130 short-term rental listings in LA. Then pivoted to the hotel model. So now she owns Hicksville. She owns another hotel that they're getting up and running. She's expanding Hicksville like crazy right now. And she teaches a whole week of how to scale a business with VAs, right? So like, talk about an expert in the space and excuse my language, but a badass in this space. It's an absolute honor to have Rebecca as a coach.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
We're going to learn a lot from her.
100%, man. I'm super excited, and it's so exciting to see that our program is attracting that high level coaches like with Julie, with Rebecca, and now also Christian. He's been on the podcast too, right? Yep. He started in Traverse City in Michigan. I think he had over 100 units there, but he's been expanding internationally. Like I almost met up with him in Tulum because he's doing business there now. He's doing business in Puerto Rico. He's an amazing person as well. They both became good friends of ours as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We've traveled so many different places with them, and we met them through our mastermind, and they're in our mastermind now, and they will be for the future. And it's an honor to work with both of them. But yeah, Christian from True North out of Traverse City. I think he has how many units now? 300?
I can't keep count with him, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I talk to him, he's doing something new. He's now buying a hotel out there as well. So we're talking to him about that. He expanded to Puerto Rico. He expanded to Tulum. But he is just, next level CEO, and man, talk about someone who built a business to serve his lifestyle, right? Like he's expanding like crazy. He's taking over those markets, but he still has a ton of freedom. He travels. He does pretty much whatever the hell he wants to do, and he's grown like crazy. So it's an honor to have him as a coach as well.
Yeah. What I love about both of them as well is that they really came to us because they want to give back to the community, because they're passionate about helping people. And it's exactly that's 100% perfect fit in our culture, right? Because that's what we are passionate about as well. So yeah, super excited. The coaching department is expanding. The program is expanding. And looking at the people that have already joined, there's some absolute rock stars in there as well. Some really cool
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it.
Super excited.
Well, man, I appreciate everyone listening to this, and I'm excited to connect with everybody. I'm going to try to talk to as many people as possible. We also have Matt that's helping us, speak to people who apply for the program. But if you guys are connecting with this, just go to strlegends.com/x, send in an application. And we'll know within a day or two if it's a good fit or not, and we'll go from there. But regardless, it's gonna be good connecting with you. So here goes to class 3.
Class 3, and we're kicking off the class on in 4 weeks on Monday, February 28th. So get your application in if you are interested, and we will be back next week, of course, with another episode of STR Conversations on Monday. I'll be back as well with an interview. The host show is what we call it on Monday. So 2 episodes a week. Eric, thank you for your time. Hope you're, all too sore from all the snowboard, like all the falling down on the ice and in the snow.
I'm feeling it.
I can imagine. Yeah. All right, man. It was good to talk to you. And thanks to all the listeners. We'll be back on Monday and on Friday. Have a great weekend.
See you soon, guys.